Have Warner and DC given Todd Phillips the green light for a sequel? Will Arther Fleck ever get his day in court, or even end up behind bars? And could we see a successful sequel to Joker without Joaquin Phoenix? Hi, I'm Peter, and you're watching OSSA Movies, and today we're going to be exploring all the potential ways a sequel to Joker could be even better than the first film. Is a sequel even certain? Many were blown away by the ratcheting tension of the Joker's origins, all culminating in an appropriately violent explosion of riotous citywide rage. It set the stage perfectly, giving us a wider context for the until now overplayed killing of Thomas and Martha Wayne that would go on to fuel the Dark Knight's quest for justice. But are we even certain there will be a sequel? That ending left plenty of space to explore other avenues, and it seems like there's an audience desperate to see what comes next. Especially when you consider that this relatively smaller character study managed to pass the $1 billion mark at the cost of a mere $60 million, which is certainly a smaller budget than films like Justice League, Aquaman, or Batman vs. Superman. So it seems like Warner DC will be eager to capitalize on this momentum. But director Todd Phillips says that he and Joaquin are not entirely committed to any particular direction, or even the idea of making a sequel at all. Phillips says, when a movie does $1 billion and costs $60 million to make, of course it comes up. But Joaquin and I haven't really decided on it. We're open. I mean, I'd love to work with him on anything, quite frankly. So who knows? Best not to get our hopes up too much then. But it isn't like Phillips and Phoenix haven't also been imagining what could come next, just like us. And they picture something with big emotions, but an equally tight focus. As Phillips told Deadline, a sequel would have to have a real thematic resonance, the way Joker did, ultimately being about childhood trauma and the lack of love, and the loss of empathy. All those things are really what made this movie work for us, so we'd have to have something that had an equal thematic resonance. Where could we go with a sequel? There are lots of directions a sequel could go in. We could see how Fleck develops and how Gotham devolves as a result, becoming the den of villainy that prompts Bruce Wayne to take up the cowl. Then again, we could see Fleck take a back seat while a whole host of other villains draw inspiration from his example, developing a rogues gallery of psychopathic Gotham ghouls to build an ensemble cast, much like the recent Birds of Prey. Perhaps there could even be a new Harley to Phoenix's Joker. And it isn't like this cast of criminals would have to fight alongside the Joker either. Wouldn't it be great to see two or more titans of crime go head to head, a royal rumble to see who takes the criminal crown of Gotham City? After all, we saw plenty of Gotham's corrupt cream of the crop in Joker, and the aggressive reaction to that inequality. This feels like the perfect kind of situation where an organized mob boss like Carmine Falcone could flourish with one foot in the world of the city's elites and the other in that of its oppressed underclass. Or how about another symbolic one-percenter, that decadent inversion of Bruce Wayne, the moneyed and madcap Arthur Cobblepot, aka the Penguin? Wouldn't he make the perfect pairing, a villainous penguin with pots of payola versus Phoenix's penniless prankster? And this would be a nice way to tie everything back to the first Tim Burton Batman films of the 1980s. Heck, I bet DC could even get Danny DeVito back if they really wanted. He's down for whatever. However, since Todd Phillips and Joaquin seem to have envisioned a smaller kind of film with a real thematic resonance that builds on the character study that we saw in Joker, perhaps we should picture something a bit more controlled. What would be a nice compromise between the desire for the fans to see yet more carnage and Phillips's desire for a more nuanced exploration of the character? Well, how about a court case? A televised court case. Picture it, the Joker as media personality, projecting his anarchic agenda through a national trial, which would be perfect for his character to develop and evolve. We could see character witness Jim Gordon, a put-upon rookie detective making the first steps on his path to being commissioner. And in the end, well, the Joker could end up going scot-free in spite of everything. Or even better, end up in Arkham. Think O.J. Simpson meets Hannibal Lecter with a dash of Beetlejuice. Wouldn't that be an amazing direction for the sequel to take? Or perhaps you have a better idea. Let us know what you think in the comments below. A Joker sequel without Joaquin? You'd think that after that Oscar-winning performance in Joker, Joaquin Phoenix would be locked in for another film about the Crown Prince of Crime. Indeed, Joaquin told the Los Angeles Times, Long before the release, or before we had any idea if it would be successful, we talked about sequels. In the second or third week of shooting, I was like, Todd, can you start working on a sequel? There's way too much to explore. It was kind of in jest, but not really. But much like the Joker himself, it seems like Phoenix likes to keep things a bit improvisational. Despite what Joaquin claims about his enthusiasm to come back to the character, it could really have only been in jest. Especially when you consider that, according to director Todd Phillips, Phoenix never actually officially accepted the role of Arther Fleck in the first film, let alone signed up for plans for a sequel or any kind of extended universe. Even after weeks of chatting and arm twisting, Phillips wasn't sure Joaquin would actually turn up on that first day of shooting. There was a little resistance. We spent a lot of time talking about what the movie will look and feel like. And then one day he magically showed up. He never said yes. He just one day showed up to a wardrobe fitting. It was an incredible partnership, Todd said in an interview with a director's roundtable with the Los Angeles Times. So can you even imagine a sequel to Joker that doesn't feature Phoenix? How would that work? Could we see a member of the mob Joker-inspired take up the mantle? It would certainly make sense considering the Joker himself says in Alan Moore's quintessential classic, The Killing Joke, if I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. What could be a more perfect way to bridge Phoenix's Fleck to someone like Jared Leto's thuggish take on the Joker? Not that it has to be Jared Leto, of course. I mean, if there's one thing we should know about the Joker by now, it's that he could be anyone. And it would even explain the age difference and how the Joker could still be going toe-to-toe with Batman 20 years after Fleck's performance instigated the murder of the Waynes. While there's so many different ways to write that sequel, one thing's for certain, there's plenty of great directions for the next film to go in, and years of Batman lore to draw from. So which story arc would you like to see inspire the next installment in a potential Joker franchise? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for sticking with us today, and as always, stay awesome.